Fear is projecting what you believe to be the outcome in front of you and then feeling the energy right now. And so with that, I like to invite you to project the possibility that it can come true. It may take longer, it may cost more, it may, require that you let go of some people, but that it can come true. As well as looking forward to realistic things as well. I don't expect to go from $10,000 to 10 million. I don't even expect to go from 10,000 to a million, but I can require that I go from 10,000 to 25. I set all my goals that way. I still have the sight of a million or 10 or whatever that is, touching those many people. But I give myself incremental bites so that I can get it done. Now, when you talk about validating your fears or dismantling your fears, what needs to take place? Application. What needs to take place in order for you to stay in action? Look at what strategy needs to take place. Here's what I love. I love that there's a projection and then there's an actual. There's always that. You think you know what's going to happen when you're going to the movies. You think how a movie's going to turn out. You think how it's going to be when you go out to dinner. You have an idea what it's going to be like at an amusement park. And then all of those projections are replaced with actuals. Once you do it, you go, oh, here's how it was. It was better than I thought. It was amazing. Or no, it was not all that. Whatever. You've replaced the projection with the actual. So here's the other thing. When you're managing fears and when you're climbing over fears, you want to look for action so you can replace the projection with the actual. Because if you don't replace the projection with the actuals, you're always sitting back going, okay, what could have happened? Here's what I think would have happened. But you never really know.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Lisa Nichols, and my take on her top 10 rules for success. Enjoy. Rule number 2, center yourself in stillness.
You want to learn how to center yourself in stillness. And that, to me, is easier said for many than it is done, but it's so worth doing. When you center yourself in stillness and you fall into a place of gratitude, a place of, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be in demand, instead of, I gotta do. Now, I know if you are a mover and shaker and a doer like I am, stillness feels like it's like anti-productive. But the reality is, when you get into movement, you want to make sure you're moving from a place of core. You're moving from a place of groundedness. And more importantly, and most importantly, you're moving from a place of gratitude, because gratitude gives you energy. And when you're serving everyone else, it's energy that we need. So, number 1, center yourself in stillness and fall into a space of gratitude about being in demand, about having a full schedule, about being someone that others can come to. So gratitude is the soil for all good things.
Rule number 3, give yourself permission to be paid.
So many times we want to be paid, we want money, we want our bank account to just magically grow without us doing the work necessary to accept payment. And if you're already accepting payment, do the work necessary to accept a greater, bigger, bolder payment. I'll never forget when my fee was $3,000 as a speaker. I was like, oh my God, this is everything. And then it went to $7,500 as a speaker. I was so scared, like, no one's gonna hire me. Oh my God. It had nothing to do with the value I brought on stage. And then I went to $10,000 and I'm like mortified. I'm sweating, everyone's sweating. And I remember I was at an event with Les Brown, and he went up and he did it, boom. And I went up and I did it, boom, boom. And he looked at me and I looked at him, and we had a candid conversation, and he asked me my fee. And at the time, I don't know what his fee was, maybe $20,000 or something. And he asked me my fee and I was like, 10,000. And he looked at me, and literally you could see how the fee didn't match the experience. Now your fee doesn't match your worth, but I knew I should have been different. I knew that. And he looked at me and he said, if you charge $5,000 and you play full out and did what you just did, and you go home with $5,000 and the client goes home happy, everyone's good, right? I said, yes. He goes, and if you charge $15,000 and you give him what you just gave him, and the client goes home happy and you go home happy, then all's good, right? I said, yeah. He goes, which experience do you want to go home with? And I realized that it wasn't about the business. It was about my self-development. So I had to give myself permission to be paid.
Rule number 4, get clear on who you are.
Be super clear about who you are and about what you provide and how you serve people. So in order to do that, you need to be super clear. Write this down. What's the problem that you solve? Or what's the desire that you help come to fruition? I know you've probably heard me say that before, but it's because the truth doesn't change. I'm not going to give you 19 different answers to a question when the one answer is the answer. It's the Mecca answer, right? So who are you and who are you to the world? A lot of times, Diana, we touch no one because we're trying to touch everyone. Okay, type your name in chat if that just pushed a button for you, like, oh my God, that's me. Listen, I'm not speaking from a place of judgment or even as the coach solely. This was what I did. Remember, my company name is called Motivating the Masses. So I was trying to touch everyone and I wasn't impacting or converting anyone. So be super clear on who you are and what you provide as a service, what the pain is that you solve, what the desire is that you help bring to fruition, and how can you serve me, right? Remember, you're not talking to everyone. You're talking to one person at a time.
Also, to make sure you're actually taking action after watching this video, I've designed a special free worksheet just for this video. The worksheet will highlight all of the lessons learned in this video, as well as pull out our 3 favorite learnings and quotes that will inspire you to actually do something. The worksheet will also give you space to write down what your key takeaways are and your specific plan of action to make sure you're getting results. If you want the worksheet designed specifically for this video, absolutely for free, there's a link in the description below. Go click on it and start building the momentum in your life and your business. I'll see you there. Rule number 5, be consistent.
You want to be consistent. Diana, you talked about you post every other day. That sounds like it's consistent. However, in the posting every other day, are you moving them through a journey? Are you just providing content? Are you speaking to something way out there? Are you inviting them every third or every second invitation? Are you inviting them to join? Are you inviting them in such a way that you're inviting them to get the solution to their problem by choosing you? Or just inviting them to subscribe or inviting them to follow you? I see so many entrepreneurs out there doing it wrong because they're blending social media with business building media. They're not the same. They're both done on social media. But social media is just, hey, let me hang out, let me TikTok, let me share a little something with you. Business building media is you have a strategy. I'm gonna serve. I'm gonna become the owner of this content. I'm gonna become considered the expert in this area. I'm gonna invite you to join me, join my tribe. Click here, come get this free, assessment that I have, get this free newsletter I have, if you want to grow in this area. So it's important to ask what I call a benefit-based question. If you want to grow your business, you want to be consistent in your life, I'm just making this stuff up. If you want to trim your body and tone your muscles, then join me here in this campus because I can help you get there versus just follow me, right? So you want to be consistent with your posting, but you want to post to a benefit-based, problem solution based, and then you want to make some invitations.
Rule number 6, learn how to sell.
Shirley asks, how do I get more leads for my business? Super great question. So the first thing I'm going to say, Shirley, is be responsible for the leads that you get because leads are not sales. Leads are people that are interested. So I'm not going to go into this particular answer right now on this show, but I am going to say, Shirley, are you ready to sell? Do you feel worthy of having someone choose you? Are you making sure that you're ready to ask for the business? If not, get ready to ask for the business before you get the leads, because a lead will go cold if it takes you too long to send them an invitation to become your student, your client, your partner in creation. So, Shirley, how do you get more leads in your business? So remember this. People either have a pain that they want you to help them to eliminate, or they have a desire that they want you to help them get. Ask the question, Shirley, what pain do I help to eliminate? So I'm in the transformational business. And so I help people eliminate the pain of limiting belief systems. I help people eliminate the pain of negative self-talk. I help people eliminate the pain of holding themselves back through what they say and they believe. Now, the desire I help people get to as a transformational coach is the desire to touch their next best version of themselves, the desire to play their biggest game ever, their desire to build a life that they've only been dreaming about. So I know the pain that I help relieve, and I know the desire that I help fulfill. So how do you bring more leads into your business? Understand that, because people are not interested, surely, in coming into your business. People are interested in having their desires met, the desires of their heart fulfilled. They're interested in learning the ABC or the 1, 2, 3 to get that negative nanny out of their lives, that negative idea, thought, or behavior, as well as to get that abundant possibility into their lives. So make it very clear how you help them get there, because people are looking at you with the WIIFM. Always. What's in it for me? The clearer you can show people what's in it for you, for them to be with you, the faster they'll join your business and become one of your email list individuals. Now, you haven't made them a customer yet. That's why I didn't say the faster they'll become your customer. So the first thing they're going to do is raise their hand that they want to learn more from you. How do you get them to do that? Offer them something of value for free. So we call that a lead magnet. If you go to my website, motivatingthemasses.com, right? It gives you an option. Are you a speaker or is it personal development? If you go down the speaker path, the first thing I'm going to say is, hey, do you want to go from being a good speaker to an unforgettable speaker? That's my lead magnet for you. That's my offer. Join my free webinar, right? So now I'm giving you something that's of value for you in that area that you have a pain or a desire for free to get your name into my database. If you go down my personal development path, it's the same thing. It just focuses on personal development. So what's a juicy, sticky lead magnet that's for free, that gives them some of the answer that they're looking for? It could be the top 10 things that you can do. Let's say I'm a makeup artist. What are the top 10 mistakes that most amateurs make when they put their makeup on? I want to know what that is. Give me your email and I'll send you the top 10 things. So automatically offer value in exchange for their information. Now, Shirley and others, anyone, once you get that information, you don't want to just let them sit there. What's the next level that you want to offer them? Now, I don't say run from free to fee really fast. Build relationships, because when you run from giving someone a free something to charging them really fast, that's like saying, hi, my name is Lisa. Want a kiss? No, I want to hold your hand first. I want to know about you first. So you want to treat people coming into your community the same way. Don't try to convert so fast. Build the relationship. So when you make the ask is made on a more solid ground. So what does that look like, Shirley? It looks like offering them something free that eliminates that pain or helps them with that desire. And then once they get in, maybe offer them an opportunity to meet up with you. Hey, I get together every other week online, 30 minutes, and I provide 30 minutes of content about this thing.
Rule number 7, celebrate your accomplishments.
You want to celebrate and recognize what you've accomplished already. So build your business on cement, not sinking sand. Because you offer something for free does not mean you haven't made major impact and progress. Now, the other thing is that you want to track. Here's the third area. You want to track the outcomes that are produced for free, because free or fee does not change the value. I should have started with this. Your fee and your value will not equal. So you can give me something for free. You can give it to me for $97. My first program on my campus that you can step into is $28. But the value of the program is intense. It's a 3-digit value, at least $500, at least. But it's $28 so that people can easily say yes to themselves. So your fee and your worth do not equal. So often we have this idea of what success looks like and what makes an accomplishment valid. I've learned that almost always those are not our own beliefs, but the beliefs of others that we've taken on. So I want you to take a minute and think about what you've done in the past 6 months. What have you done? What have you accomplished in the past year, the past 5 years? Listen, I know that your to-do list is really, really long because you're a gladiator and you're looking at this video, you're on this channel. Your to-do list is long. You want to produce some things in the world. But guess what? I will always challenge you that your to-done list is much, much longer. You've done so much in the last 6 months, the last year, the last 5 years. Man. Now, what new accomplishments have you made? Celebrate them. Be aware of them. What old accomplishments that are under-celebrated? Celebrate them. You know why? Because what's celebrated gets repeated. And celebration is the fuel to your future. Like gratitude is the fuel to your future. Be grateful and celebrate what you've already done while you're creating this for-fee platform.
Rule number 8, maintain healthy boundaries.
Maintain healthy boundaries. Now, I've managed this one for a long time. And when I say boundaries, the first thing you think is to tell people stop, to push people away. And it's not that. It's recognizing that there's power in yes, but there's power in no. And that a no can be a dignified no. A no can be a not now. A no can be my plate is currently full. A no can mean that doesn't work for me. Any kind of no, as long as it maintains your dignity and maintains someone else's dignity, is a healthy no. So when you set boundaries, all of a sudden you're opening up space for yourself. Because when you say no to something, you're saying yes to something else. When you say no to going out in the evening because you're tired, you're saying yes to getting more rest. When you say no to being able to handle someone else's problem or their challenge, you're saying yes to spending more time in what you need. Saying no has always been something that I've had to work on. The recent years, I've gotten much, much better at it because I recognize that when I say no, I had more space for other things that I needed to do. Recently, I had a challenge in my life where a family member got really sick, and I had to say no to a lot. I mean, a lot. Almost everything that wasn't focusing on my very dear, dear family member getting better. And I thought in my head, everything was going to fall apart because I said no to so many things. What happened was the people around me rose up to the occasion. They managed exactly what needed to be managed. And I had the freedom of mind space to just be, pray, have faith, and sit at the hospital bedside of my family. And so maintaining healthy boundaries can really be the first step of you recognizing, one, other people want to rise up to the occasion for you. And two, there's healing in having the spaciousness to look at your own life, to press reset, to reflect.
Rule number 9, make real connections.
You want to get from behind the screen and make real connections. So Diana, I'm not sure how you're doing your posts, but sometimes you can post every day. You can post twice a day and still have no connection. So you want to look at the people who are creating great connection on camera. What are some of the key things they're doing? Because trust me, it's not just an experience. There's some techniques. And if you're on my campus, you know there's some clear techniques. You want to do the audience connection formula. And the audience connection formula, you want to do that as much as possible. That's the me, we, you. So you want to start with there was a time when I, and go back to a time when you had a struggle. And then the second one is the we. We have a tendency to, and then share something that we as humanity have a tendency to do. And then the third part is, have you ever? Ask a question that allows the audience to go, yeah, that's so me. When you do a benefit-based question, there was a time when I didn't think that I can stand in front of a camera and bring value. We all have a tendency to minimize our greatness and to minimize our skill set based on who we were in the past. Has there ever been a time when you knew that you wanted to do something, but you immediately thought you weren't qualified to do it? I just did it to you. Me, we, you. You might want to press rewind to see that again. It's smooth as butter. And what happens when you do the me, we, you audience connection formula is that people start seeing themselves in you and it becomes a tribe experience versus you just dictating to them. So you want to make sure that you up level your connections.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is build your credibility.
You want to get people's connection to you by building your credibility in that area. So serve them. Think about the guy at the mall in the food court that gives free samples of the orange chicken. You know, like if you ever go to the mall, there's that one place that's giving free samples. Have you ever noticed that their line is the longest for customers? It's like the best example ever. So when the malls are fully back open again and everything's back up forward to its new norm, go and check. And if in this new climate we can do that still, you'll notice that there's this person giving samples. You know why? Because they're so confident that you're going to like that orange chicken that you're going to get in line. And innately, I always wonder, why aren't they giving away a free little bit of corn dog? Why aren't they giving away a free little french fry? Why aren't they giving away free small slices of pizza? Are they all not looking at this dude having the longest line in the food court at the mall? Sample. Let people be bold and be bold and audacious about your content. Give people value for free and then invite them. My last piece is make an invitation. If this was of value for you, I'd like to invite you. Step number 5, you want to take the techniques, the previous 4 techniques that I've given you, and if you're in any one of my courses, it's actually 17 techniques, and you want to make it sound like a symphony. And the reason why this is a step is because most people look at techniques and look at things they do very fragmented. Well, I'm going to say, and I like to call it 2 things. 1, make it sound like a symphony, meaning you want your message to blend together. Think of it as if you were writing a song, because a message should be rhythmic. It should be like a song. It should have this cadence to it. It should have this alliteration to it. It should have this flow to it. It has this opening. It has this middle, this arc, and it has this ending. And it all comes together, right? That's the symphony. That's the sound. That's the band. The other way you can look at it is you want to take your individual ingredients and then you want to layer them together like lasagna. And you want to put them on. Lasagna is actually not one of the easiest dishes to make because it's about individual mastery of the particular taste and the particular seasonings. And then it's also about layering it in such a way that it meshes together and comes out in one form. That's how a great message is. You take the techniques, audience connection. You take the techniques, ending with a fire, not a fizzle. You take the techniques, understanding what's in it for your audience. You take the techniques, verbal highlights. And you do all these techniques and then you go, how do I layer them? Content and story and opening and close. Yeah, again, I say, this ain't elementary. This is MBA, right? So it takes a minute. But if you've implemented the first 4 steps, then you have delicious content. You understand what a soul-stirring story looks like because I taught you the valley. You understand the crescendo and a close. Now it's time for you as the conductor, or like my son Jelani, as the head chef, as he is a chef of all times. Now you want to put the dish together, or as the conductor, you want to create a beautiful symphony of words. Yeah, I know when you think of it that way, it's like, well, Lisa, it's just a message. No, it's not. It's life for someone who's listening. It's life for someone who needs your words. So take the time and create a symphony of oration. Create a symphony of possibility. Create a symphony of energy. Because when you speak, and you speak possibility, you speak education, you speak motivation, you're speaking life. Step 3 is about designing your powerful close. So most people end with a fizzle. And I'm going to say one of the major foundations to a powerful message is to end with fire, like fire. So end with fire, not a fizzle. Speakers often overlook and dismiss the close because they're so committed to the content and they think, oh, it's the end. No, like think about it when you're at a concert. When you're at a concert and like you're with like a mega artist, like if it were Prince or Tina Turner or Janet Jackson or Beyonce or Mary J. Blige, or if you're with Kenny G, or you have a concert, a major concert. They don't end with the fizzle. They don't end with the song that no one knew, that didn't go gold or didn't hit a major status, or that you can't sing along with. They crescendo. And they may go down and give you some of the, ones that are more mediocre in the middle. But at the end, they come out and do the encore even. And the encore is always something that gets everyone to sing along. It's an encore that it's fire. That's exactly how your message needs to be. So let me let you in on the secret sauce. Like, a lot of things that I love to do now is really taking you behind the black curtain on powerful speeches, behind the black curtain on becoming unforgettable when you open your mouth or when you present in front of people. Your close, here it is. You ready for it? You ready for it? Your close is so important. It's the audience's last impression of you. And most people go height, and down and by. I've witnessed so many times great speeches that kept me engaged and kept me excited until the end. Every time this happens, I'm screaming inside my head, no, please. Don't make your last impression a fizzle. You need to have content and you need to have stories. Now, the number of stories that you offer in your message has a lot to do with how much time you have, because you always want to give your audience of one or of many, online, virtual, or live, you want to give them enough content to walk away with value. However, it's super important that you give them enough story to walk away with a connection. So what normally happens, some of the best speakers that are out there today, best presenters, they are only doing one or the other. They fall flat in one of those areas. They're either all story and you don't have enough content to write down, or they're all content. That's pretty much the majority of people. They're all content. And there's very few opportunities to make a connection. So why do you deliver content? You deliver content because it's the intellectual learning that you're going to teach your audience, right? Whether it's new concepts, it's the theory that provides your audience with the insight to move forward. Content is the steps, the how-to. Content is where they choose to follow you as an expert, as a coach, as a leader, because you have insight on neuro-linguistic programming, behavioral management, media, marketing. You got that content on personal perseverance and transformation. You are the content provider for that particular body of work, meaning your intellectual property will help move them forward in their life in that area. Super, super important. Now I want you to put that by itself. That's important. The mistake most speakers make, most presenters make, is that they give you all of that. Well, I walk away with value, but you miss a huge part of me. Now, where is that? That's from the story. So the story is that experience that you share that grounds the content and makes it real. Now, you don't have to necessarily point to the content. You're just sharing a story about a time in your life, and that story just gives context. It gives 3D. It gives texture, what I like to call it, to what you're talking about, to the content. It brings the content to life in a moment. Let me give you an example. Well, the story is what allows the audience to see themselves in you. The story is what creates the vibration, the energy exchange. Remember, content doesn't create an energy exchange. Content creates an intellectual exchange. You want an energy exchange. Why? Content will have people respect you. Stories will have people become loyal to you. This is about step 4. This one is huge for connecting with your audience and keeping them interested and engaged. Now, so many times I see speakers or presenters speaking, and they're not checking in with their audience to even see if they're listening anymore. And as a result, people are on their phones or they're doing whatever, they're multitasking. You want to keep your audience absolutely engaged. So let me give you some techniques. You want to identify your audience's drivers. You want to know these things before you even open your mouth. Like, you want to know what makes your audience tick. What gets them excited? What gets them into action? What's super important to them? What's the WIIFM? What's in it for me? But in this case, what's in it for them? What drives them? What motivates them? This step is beyond customizing your speech, which is what I mentioned in a previous show. This is really understanding the psychographic of your audience. Whether you're on social media, that's an audience. Whether you're teaching a class, that's an audience. Whether you're talking to one individual, that's an audience. So you have to ask yourself, what's the red button for this particular group of individuals? When I speak to mothers, I recognize that a mother's job is to make her children feel safe. A mother's job is to make them feel loved. A mother also feels overwhelmed. She's also the multitasker of all times. She also needs rest. And she wants to be acknowledged. Many times she's under-acknowledged. I know that. I know that before I start talking to the moms, or even when I'm talking to an audience and I say, if you are a mother, then, and I begin to go into the things that I know is important to a mother. If I'm speaking to a group of speakers or entrepreneurs, then I know it's about several things. It's about impact. You want your voice to be heard. You also want to know that your voice is powerful. You want to know that your message is being received. You also want to monetize your message. So it's not just about speaking, it's also about the business. If I'm speaking to teens during our Motivating the Teen Spirit events, then as a teen, I go, okay, so teens are not making a lot of decisions in their lives for themselves. Decisions are being made around them. They want to own their voice. They want to hear their own voice. They're tired of rules. So in the Motivating the Teen Spirit, when I'm talking to teens, I say, here are no rules. They go, what? In this space, we just make agreements together. Man, they perk up as soon as I do that because they're not used to that. So to that point, you want to make sure that you understand what the needs and the desires and what motivates the audience that you're speaking to before you even open your mouth. You don't want to just speak to what's important to you. You want to speak to what's important to them. And what are those hot buttons? What are those red buttons that will make them go, whoop, whoop? Let me listen a little closer. This part of the process may sound like a lot of work, but it's worth it because it can turn a speech, a message into an experience. Customize your content for each event. I cannot tell you how many times I see speakers and orators and teachers and whomever, and they have a really great message. But with each new audience they go to, 90% of the message is the same. I got to be honest with you. Some of the people that I know in the industry, some of my friends, they do it. And I love them and I love their heart. But I truly believe that the audience is paying for the lack of energy. Let me just say, lazy. The audience is paying because you're being lazy. Customize your message for your audience. Who are they? How are they different? And even if it's the same demographic, so they're still women and they're still entrepreneurs, but are we in a different time? I dare not deliver the exact same message this year to the same demographic that I delivered in 2019. Why? Too much has happened. She, he, they are in a totally new place. So you want to make sure that your message addresses your audience. Now, let me just tell you something. I saw a very powerful speaker. I will not mention his name. I saw a very powerful speaker be so sure that he can move the audience that when he was speaking to his audience, he actually went in a direction that this audience wasn't interested in. But it's where his speech was. And it was a great speech for another audience. And he was on autopilot. So I want you to think about it this way. You don't talk to everyone in your life the same way. You know, if you were talking to a 3-year-old, you have a 3-year-old's conversation. If you were talking to a 15-year-old, you have a 15-year-old's conversation to relate to them. And if you were talking to a 55-year-old, or let's just look at me because that's where I happen to be right now in my life, you would speak to me differently. And so you don't speak to your partner the way you would speak to your boss, the way you would speak to your children, the way you would speak to your friend. You talk to them in a way that fits the relationship that you're in with them. Your audience is the exact same way. taking the time to customize your message. You can be talking about the same content, same technique. I teach about speaking all the time, but I'm always saying, am I talking to a corporate employee? Am I talking to a corporate exec? Am I talking to an entrepreneur? Am I speaking to a teenager? Same content, but I apply the message so that it fits the audience. This allows the audience to feel as if you've customized something for them and they have a more intimate connection to you. You may ask, how do you customize? How do you customize, Lisa, a message for your audience? How do you know what the audience needs? That's what I would be asking me right now. How do I know what the audience needs? Ask questions. Write this down. Your listeners or your customers are the experts. Say that. My customers are the experts. My students are the experts. The next line, I am the service provider. Oh, when I got that years ago, that my customers, my audience, my students, you're the expert. You're the expert of your journey because you know what you need more than I do. You're the expert on what you need. I'm the service provider. So the best thing you can do is ask questions. What matters to you most these days? What problem are you working to solve? What's keeping you up at night? What area would you love to grow in? What's your pain point? What are the 10 things that you're tolerating right now? They're not screaming loud enough to make you change them, but they're screaming loud enough to annoy you. Ask those questions. Collect the data. Put it in your back pocket. And as you're creating content and as you're creating programs, create programs and content that speaks to what your audience has already shared with you. Your belief systems were handed to you by your parents and by your grandparents, and they were pretty much embedded by the time you were 10 years old. So there's some beliefs that you didn't even have a chance to develop for your own. You just are living them out.
You inherited them.
You inherit the belief system and didn't unconsciously inherited them. And so the good news is you get to choose to the belief systems you like, and then you get to divorce. I'm going to say divorce because that's a strong word. We all know what separation looks like when you say divorce. You get to divorce from a belief system that doesn't serve you any longer. A belief system that says money is the root of all evil, maybe, or a belief system that says only rich people have money, or all rich people are crooks, or my belief system used to be that wealthy people aren't spiritual. That if I'm wealthy, I can't be a spiritual person.
You have to pick God or money.
One or the other. I got to pick my faith or my finances. I can't have both. That's a belief system. And I invite you to divorce it because it's not the case. I have both and I live in both quite well. I use my money for good in the world. And the more money you have, the more good you'll do if you're a good person. So money makes you more of who you are. So you will only be more of who you are with money. When we talk about setting healthy boundaries, again, and I know it sounds as if I keep going back to the same thing, but setting healthy boundaries is not about you keeping other people out. If someone crosses your line in the sand, it's because you never made your line deep enough. No one can ever go further with you than you've given them permission to go. So as hard and as difficult as it is to hear, because this was hard for me to hear when I had to admit it to myself, that the way people treated me was based on how I trained them to treat me. So I have to say it to you. You've trained people to treat you the way they're treating you. So if people are crossing your boundaries because they didn't know it was there. If people call you at odd hours of night, it's because you keep answering. If people ask you to do beyond what you're able to do, it's because you keep saying yes. If people don't ever think you need rest, it's because you act like you don't need rest. I know this is not probably what you want to hear, but I signed up and you signed up in this relationship to give you what you need to hear, not necessarily what's always easy to hear. And I'm only telling you what I needed to hear myself. I'm only telling you the lesson that I had to learn, that we train people how to treat us. Acknowledge your community. See, when you celebrate the people around you that bring you joy or that teach you some of the hardest lessons that you need to learn, the iron that sharpens the iron, the celebrators that celebrate you, those who hold the space for you and with you, pray for you, honor you. When you celebrate and lift them up, the whole tide rises. So I want you to find 6 people in your community, not out of obligation, but truly out of choice. They can be in your circle, in your family, in your business circle. And I want you to acknowledge them for the contribution that they bring to your life. What I love about acknowledgement is that when you acknowledge other people, it actually makes you happier. It's just this amazing gift of giving. And what I love is that most people would rather get an acknowledgement from you than a physical gift. That means they don't necessarily need the perfume, they don't need the sweater, they don't need the new iPhone, whatever. They want you to look at them in their eyes and say, you bring value to my life. I honor you, I celebrate you, I appreciate you. Take time to have a personal moment with them where you're just seeing them. The number one reason why people feel sad and disconnected is because they say they don't feel seen. So in this acknowledgement, I want you to look into their eyes and acknowledge them for who they are and how they make your life better. When you raise the community around you, the entire tide rises, the energy rises, the joy rises, the expectation rises. And guess what? If you make this a part of your weekly habits with them, I didn't say daily, I didn't say monthly either, and I definitely didn't say annually. But if you make this a part of your weekly, find one thing to acknowledge at least 6 people in your community for each week. One, you'll feel much more excited. But all of a sudden there's a vibration that happens because you've created it. There's this energy of let's go do this, because what gets celebrated gets repeated. You want someone to repeatedly do something wonderful and amazing in your life, you repeatedly acknowledge them from a genuine place. Man, it's so powerful when you truly marry yourself to the acknowledgement process, to the practice of acknowledgement. When you get into the practice of acknowledgement, all of a sudden people will mirror back to you. You don't acknowledge to get it back. You acknowledge because you want people to be seen. But there's just this dance that begins to occur that's absolutely delicious. I'll try says I'll make a feeble attempt. I will is absolute, non-negotiable, no matter what. There's a certain energy that goes forth when you say I'll try, and there's a different energy that goes forth when you say I will. When you make the declaration of I will, that says mountain, if you are there, you must move. I'll try says I hope I got enough energy to make it up or around the mountain, and if not, I'm gonna sit at the bottom of the hill. When you fail to make a plan, okay, well, hold on. This might hit you between the eyes. You know I love you. But when you fail to make a clear, concrete plan that has goals and milestones, meaning they're smaller goals that you can hit to get to the bigger goal, and has a by-when date, not in February, not in August, but August 15th by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, when I set a goal, I even want to know the time zone I'm gonna have it done by. Clarity. When you fail to make a plan with clear distinction, when you fail to make a clear plan, you have clearly planned to fail. I'll say it again. When you fail to make a clear plan, then you've clearly planned to fail. I know that hits you hard. I've done it many a times. I have clearly planned to fail many a times because I had an idea and it was just in my unconscious. I didn't know. Now I want to bring to you what I know to you so you know it. I want you to make a clear plan. When you create a clear plan, then you're clearly planning to succeed. Every relationship is a relay. It's like my dad's played tennis for over 40 years and I've attempted to play with him at times. And what I realize is that relationships are like a tennis match. I hit the ball to you, you hit the ball back. And a relationship where you think it's only about one person, that's not tennis, that's racquetball, right? But a relationship is a tennis match. And so if a relationship is working, it's because of the way we both are engaging. If it's truly working. And if it's not working, it's the way we both are engaging. And so there could be passive engagement and there could be active engagement. So when you're not speaking up for what you want, when you're holding and you're living with a bunch of withholds, that's engagement. That's just the way you're engaging. So every relationship has two parts, whether your part is active or your part is passive. Every relationship has engagement, a level of engagement, and that engagement is on different levels. If you find that the relationships around you have toxic outcomes, then I want you to look at where's the breakdown. Is the breakdown in communication? Is the breakdown in how you communicate, the words you're using? Is the breakdown in who you choose to be around? Is the breakdown in the engagement of what you're talking about? What I've learned is that if you're not talking about things that are high enough and big enough, things that are inspiring enough, you will slip into the smallness every single time. If you don't choose an intentionally high, evolving, encouraging conversation, you will slip into the cracks. You will slip into those crevices of smallness and petty. And until you get people trained that you're going to live up here without telling them, I need you to know, it's not an announcement. It's a way of being. It's a what do you choose to participate in. It's a stepping over your desire to hear smallness, gossip, negative feedback. It's when someone is engaging in negative feedback about someone else, the fact that you didn't add anything to the conversation doesn't let you off the hook. Did you stop the conversation? Did you say, hold on, I don't want to engage in speaking negatively of them at all. Why don't you have a conversation with them? It's course correcting behaviors in your space at the risk of losing the relationship. But what you basically do is you say, here's where I play. Here is where I live. I'm not visiting this high road of integrity. I'm not visiting this high road of conscious thinking and awareness and respect and humility and honoring the dignity in people. I don't visit this place. I live here. I don't visit this place. I live here. And in a loving way, anyone that's engaging with you has two choices. They either engage with you here or they choose to engage with someone else. Now, if you find that you're going down to be in the relationship, or you're going down and you're the person taking the relationship down because you're in a moment of anger, or you're in a moment of resentment, or you're in a moment of hurt, then you're not living in your highest integrity. You just visit every now and again when you come to this channel. Uh-oh, I see my Shantae coming out right now. Shantae is my middle name. It's what I do when I start getting real edgy because I really want you to get it. So you need to make a decision on where you choose to reside. And then you don't leave your conscious neighborhood to go visit other people's neighborhood if it's not as high as yours. People will rise to the occasion, or they'll choose not to rise, and they'll pick other people to be with and hang with. And I know that sounds easier said than done, because some of the people who are playing at a lower level might be in family. It might be, and that's fine too. You can love people. It doesn't mean you have to spend tons and tons and tons of time if that time costs you something. Spend as much time as you can. Spend as much time as serves you. Spend as much time as they will allow you to spend. But never leave this place. Even if being with them causes you to allow them to be where they are, you don't have to engage in that. So the bottom line, and supporting you to either recognize, are you the toxic element, or are you surrounding yourself in toxic element, is to make a commitment where you live. Where am I living? And first own where you're currently living, because if you own it, you might go, you know what, I do slip into that small place. Okay, own it. That's conscious awareness. That's powerful. Own it. And then go, where do I want to be? And then what's the distance between here and there? And what do I have to do to get there? What do I have to say no to? What do I have to participate in? What do I have to ask forgiveness for? What do I have to clean up? What relationships require cleaning up? And then what declarations must I make? And what decisions must I live in? Don't make a decision, live in your decision.
Did you consciously sit down and say, I want to manifest inspiring millions of people, making millions of dollars? Was it a conscious thing? Were there moments where you sat there when you weren't living in that reality, where you said, you know what, I'm going to decide, I'm going to figure it out. I might not know how, I might not know where or what, but I'm going to commit to it and make it a reality. I mean, talk to me at the core of your experience.
Right. So I love how you say make millions of dollars. I said I want to inspire people, and I want to be able to pay my bills. That was initially.
That was a big dream.
I want to run out a month before I run out of money. Big. I want to have enough. That like, you can't think about having abundance until you literally give yourself permission to have enough.
Yeah, get past scarcity.
So I want to have enough to dream. And so my first, I think I have a ministry mindset. I just want to help people. I want to help people who, and I want to be rewarded for my efforts, right? And then once I got past that, I said, okay, I want more. I want to generate millions. I want to serve millions, inspire millions, and generate millions. I think I deserve all of that. But that had to do with my self-worth.
Right.
I had to feel worthy to touch millions. And I had to feel worthy to touch millions. I had to feel worthy of both. And so that was personal development, which is why I live and I stay in personal development. I teach personal development. I teach wealth development, I teach business development, and I teach personal development.
I love
because
that.
you have to have both. I'm only telling you the lesson that I had to learn, that we train people how to treat us. In 2007, when I was on the Oprah show, it was the thing that came up and out of me. And she was like, yes. It was that thing that said, we train people how to treat us. Like they're looking at what we're saying yes to and what we're co-signing on. And if we're the yes woman or the yes man all the time, then one, our yes isn't as valuable because everyone automatically expects it because we give it away all the time. And two, they're gonna keep asking because they know they're gonna get yes. And if you're a producer and deliverer, you're the one I'm gonna come to all the time because you're a producer and deliverer. You're gonna get the job done, even to the detriment of your own joy. Even to the detriment of your own happiness. But again, you've trained people how to treat you. But the good news about training someone is that they can be retrained. Practice active, yes, I'm gonna say it again, underline, circle active, practice active self-care. That's where you identified what rejuvenates you and made plans to make time for self-care during the busy season. So you made a list of what you know rejuvenates your soul, your mind, your body, your spirit, from walking on the beach to reading a book to taking downtime, free things and retreats or a spa, whatever it is that rejuvenates your soul, to make a list of it and then to make plans, active self-care, to do those things during your busy season. To the conversation about money and wealth, it's one, being willing to release a familiar now for an unfamiliar future. Now that's easier said than done,
yes.
And it's bigger than it sounds. Are you willing to have your future look unfamiliar and in some cases look around and you don't recognize anything? Are you willing? Are you so tied to the comfort of what you know, even in its discomfort? So I was willing to reinvent myself 1,000 times. Are you willing to reinvent yourself? Are you willing to introduce yourself to the new version of you?
Yes.
Are you willing to go places you wouldn't go and do things that you traditionally wouldn't do? See, I wasn't traditionally in meditation or in visualization or hanging around older white men, or like I had 1,000 things that I didn't do traditionally.
See, it's very difficult to speak phenomenally and to not be good. Come on, y'all from yesterday. Not be great, but to be what? Unfreaking forgettable. It's difficult to be unforgettable while you're still trying to look good. You can't do two things as chasing two rabbits. See, unforgettable has everything to do with serving at a level so high, so big, so massive that people feel like they have to change their lives because they crossed your path. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. Yes, yes. See, when you're willing to use your voice, first you have to recognize that you have one. You got to recognize that no matter your past, you were given a voice, and your voice was given not to keep to yourself. Your voice is not a secret, says the secret teacher. And you have to be willing to use every experience that's ever happened in your life, not as a fortress holding you from using your voice, but as the fuel on why you will use your voice. You got to be willing to not stand in your story, but stand on your story. Yes, yes. It's not in spite of your past that you get to be amazing, that you get to be a change agent, that you get to transform lives. It's because of your past that you're perfect for such a job. When you own it like that, see, there's no question in my certainty about my life. can you walk with that level of certainty so that when the wind comes and then when the wind blows, and it will come and it will blow and it will be a storm and it will be a tornado and it will look like divorce and it will look like bankruptcy and it will look like an illness and it will look like a loss. When it comes, it will rock you. It will rock you. It will rock you, but it won't move you.
The Oprah team had heard some of my backstory. And they said, can we send a camera crew, much like this wonderful camera crew?
Yes.
Not nearly as good looking. And can we send a camera crew to capture your story? And so I shared my story. And I mean, I dumped. And I shared the ugly. And right after the interview, I regretted it. Because I didn't think I could be the secret teacher, the expert, and have that kind of ugly out there in the world. I didn't know. I didn't know that the world would love me for what I've come through. I thought that they would consider me an imposter in the secret. And so I shared all this junk. 2 weeks later, I'm on my way to Oprah to do the actual recording, and I know I know the video. So the night before, I'm packing and I'm crying. I'm like, oh, it's over tomorrow. It's all over.
I'm gonna go embarrass myself on Oprah.
It's the fastest career up and down anyone's ever seen. Lisa Nichols will be the secret.
Yes.
Right. So, I'm just sad. I'm scared, and I call a friend of mine at 4:15 in the morning because I stayed up all night.
Of course, yeah. How are you gonna sleep before that?
Yeah, right. And I said, I know they don't know my junk and the video, and it's over. And he said, look, can I pray for you, Lisa? And I was like, sure. My friend says, God, thank you for using your imperfect child to help your imperfect children. I went to Oprah the next day, and as the chatter kept going in my head, leading up to the moment when they play this video, I'm like, it's okay. I'm enough. I'm enough with all my mess. I'm enough. And the chatter kept, nope, they're going to find out. They're going to find out your son's father is in jail. They're going to find out. And I thought, no, they're not going to find out, because I'm going to tell them. Because there's power in transparency. There's power in authenticity. There's power in truth. That I'm going to speak life into someone else, because they're going to see who I am because of that, in spite of that, with that. And so then the after show came. So after the regular Oprah show, the after show. And man, I cracked open on the after show. And within 72 hours, talk about the power of transparency and authenticity. Within 72 hours, I received 8,782 emails. And my email wasn't even Lisa Nichols. It wasn't even easy to find. And my website wasn't Lisa Nichols.
Yeah.
People searching for me.
Whatever it took.
Because of the truth. And so I had the imposter syndrome then. I've had it since then. People told me, oh my God, you're the answer. And I'm searching for my own answers.
When we talk about living our quest, I think that living my quest, really, if I look at it on a daily basis, it's finding my own voice. It's finding your voice. It's finding the song that only you can sing, off key or not. It's finding your rhythm. It's discovering what it feels like to walk in your shoes today. It won't look like it looked 10 years ago. Living your quest is, what can I do with my life so that my life becomes infectious to someone else? Living my quest looks like, how do I make my fingerprint matter so big that it lives beyond my transition day? Living your quest is, how can I forgive the perceivingly unforgivable so I can love the absolute lovable? Living your quest is, how do I give myself 1,000 second chances, and every time I get to 999, press reset? Yeah. Living my quest is not some ambiguous, untouchable experience. Living my quest means going back and healing the little girl in me so that the woman can be free. It's going back and embracing the little boy in you so that the man can show up and give himself permission to cry when necessary. Living your quest is not something that you can't touch. It's not something that requires a stage or lights or cameras. Living your quest is being complete and content with who you are in the dark of the night. So who you are in the middle of the day is all right. Living your quest is as simple as it is complex. Living your quest is about giving yourself permission, say permission, on a daily basis to become the next best version of yourself. Living your quest is not holding yourself hostage to old decisions, not holding yourself hostage to shame, blame, guilt, regret, and anger. Living your quest is about recognizing that every day I can be reborn to my possibility.
Because you made it this far in a video, I want to celebrate you. Most people start and don't finish. Most people never actually follow through. Most people say they want something, but they don't ever do the work to actually get it. But you are different. You are special. Believe Nation, you made it here all the way to the end, and I love you. So as a special celebration, if you put a hashtag believe down in the comments below on this video, I will showcase you and celebrate you somewhere on the screen in a future video because you are awesome. For 10 more amazing rules from Oprah Winfrey, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
So many people are worried about building a brand. I hear kids on social media talking about their brand. And I used to really resent the word when people would say to me, oh, you have this brand, because I never even thought about a brand.